Well, to me, it's bigger for Cam because it's an incredible opportunity. We can act like it's bigger for Bill Belichick all we want to, but we have to take into consideration that a record of, what is it, like 237 and 83, that's a 74.1 winning percentage over 20 years as the head of the New England Patriots, as this head coach and de facto general manager, not even de facto, he's the boss. The bottom line is that when you look at the level of success that he's been able to enjoy, albeit primarily with Tom Brady, there's no denying the fact that as a head coach with a multitude of responsibilities, he has cemented himself as the greatest coach of this generation and arguably the greatest to have ever lived. Cam Newton may be a former league MVP from 2015, but he's only completed better than 60% of his passes 3 times in his career. Over the last couple of years, he's been injured. Last time we saw him healthy, he was playing lights out, no question, completing about 67% of his passes, going 6-2 in those first 8 games with Norv Turner as his offensive coordinator. But ever since then, because of a foot injury, because of a shoulder injury prior to that, he hasn't been himself, and as a result, primarily by getting screwed over from the Carolina Panthers, who waited till the last hour to let him go, therefore compromising his marketability and everything else. You had a lot of people out there, still having a lot of people that are questioning whether or not he has it anymore. Has attrition kicked in? Did his body take too much punishment, or things of that nature? Not to mention, this nugget of information for both you, Greeny, and Domonique, along with you, Molly. I happen to know on good authority that the New England Patriots were considering Colin Kaepernick, but came to the conclusion that Cam Newton would be a better fit because obviously he hasn't been gone for as long. But Colin Kaepernick was being considered by the New England Patriots to end up in Foxborough. So all of these things as a backdrop, as residue for Cam Newton to lean on, I would say clearly more pressure is on him. Bill Belichick may want to win without Tom Brady. He may want to prove he can win without Tom Brady, but he doesn't have much to prove. Cam Newton has a lot to prove. Pressure's on him.
I think you're right. Bill Belichick is going to go down in history as a great coach no matter what happens, but I do think that he stands to gain more in this situation than I think Cam Newton does. I think Cam Newton could resurrect his career and go on to have some success elsewhere or re-sign long-term in New England and keep going and maybe win a Super Bowl. It means a lot for Cam Newton, but Tom Brady is the Patriots. When we think about the Patriots, as much as we love Bill Belichick and we appreciate his contributions, I think people think about the quarterback in that situation. And this is the first opportunity that Belichick will have to have sustained success. I know we can talk about that season with Castle and a couple games with Brissett and Garoppolo, but sustained success for a season without Tom Brady at quarterback. You think about Belichick's work before he ended up in New England was with the Browns, and that was a failed endeavor out there with the Browns. While we all believe that Bill Belichick can succeed without Tom Brady, it's an opportunity to show that. And I'm not sure that we'll be talking about Cam Newton's career 20, 30 years from now, the same way we'll be talking about what happened with the Patriots, Bill Belichick, and Tom Brady. If Bill Belichick can win another Super Bowl or put together another dominant team, a powerhouse for years to come in the AFC with the Patriots without Tom Brady, I think it means more to him. This is hugely valuable to him, especially getting Cam on such a cheap price. That means so much to them. They've gotten Cam, and I mentioned this earlier when we were on Get Up, they got Cam for his base salary is less than they're paying for that fine that they're getting administered for their Spygate Part 2. So I think this is a huge opportunity for Bill Belichick. While it is big, you're not wrong. Nothing you said, Stephen A, was wrong. It is big for Cam Newton. I think it's bigger for Bill Belichick and the way we will view him going forward to be able to win with a quarterback who's not only not Tom Brady, is incredibly different. If he can adapt his skills to win with a quarterback who's not Tom Brady, I think that's huge.
This is such typical Belichick. To your point, Neek, he just got a quarterback for less than it cost him to videotape the sideline of a game between the Bengals and the Browns last year. Molly, you say he's playing chess. The rest of the league isn't even playing checkers. What's a game that requires literally no skill? Like, I was writing down notes as I was sitting here thinking, like, Go Fish, War, what card game is it that you literally just, whatever card comes up, that's what you play? That's what the rest of the league is playing. And I'll tell you what Bill Belichick has at stake here. Bill Belichick has everything at stake because he's the one who's competing with ghosts. He's the one who's competing with Vince Lombardi and Bill Walsh and all the Paul Brown, the other greatest coaches in the history of the sport. Because the only thing you can question about Bill Belichick is whether or not Tom Brady was the primary reason he accomplished what he accomplished. Could he have done it without the all-time great? Not only did he have a losing record in Cleveland, but he was 5-11 the year before Brady became his starter in New England. So that is literally the only blemish or question mark on his resume. If they win big with Cam Newton at quarterback this year, then there is nothing left to question. Belichick is the greatest coach of all time.
Well, you can point to the ghost, Greeny, and I get where you're coming from, but let's go back throughout history. Tom Landry was a great coach, but he won no Super Bowls with Roger Staubach. Chuck Noll was a great coach, but he won no Super Bowls with Terry Bradshaw. Bill Walsh was obviously exceptional, but he had Joe Montana. George Seifert had Steve Young. When we look at it on and on and on, Super Bowl championships, Jimmy Johnson and the great work that he's done on Fox. Troy Aikman was his quarterback. I mean, you could just go up and down the list. All I'm saying is that even every coach needs a quarterback. We understand that. If you want to sit up there and say that Bill Belichick is competing for ghosts and what have you, all I'm trying to say is this. The fact that there are ghosts and there's nobody else to compete with, to me, buffers my point that he doesn't have but so much to prove. Then we have to take into account the multitude of responsibilities that a head coach has. You're not just the overseer of offense. You're the overseer of special teams. You're the overseer of your defense as well. All of these different components that come into play. We also have to remember this last point. Bill Belichick and Tom Brady were considered universally recognized as arguably one of the greatest tandems we've ever seen, if not the greatest. They went without a Super Bowl from 2004 to 2014. In the prime of Tom Brady's career, they weren't winning Super Bowls. They went a decade without winning a Super Bowl, and we still didn't question their greatness. So what that says to me is that Cam Newton could come to New England. Certainly if you're Bill Belichick and Cam Newton's your quarterback and you can't even make the playoffs and you completely fall apart without Tom Brady, that would be different. But if you get to the playoffs and you're in the championship picture, I think that's all Bill Belichick needs to accomplish, because he went a damn decade without winning a Super Bowl with Tom Brady in his prime, and still nobody questioned his great. Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming, sports, and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.